Hello, divas, and happy and blessed and beautiful Sunday. Happy Sunday. Yes, bitch, I'm back at it again. We're gonna do another fucking reading, bitch. Because I love doing this and it makes me very happy and it's very fun. And it's something that you should try to do too for yourself if you're feeling interested or called to do so. As I say in my videos, it's not something exclusive. It's not something that only a select few people can do. We all are able to do this kind of stuff, honey pie. So if you are ever feeling inclined to, I don't know, to perhaps purchase a deck or I don't know, whatever kind of form of divination you perhaps are feeling called towards, you should probably check it out because it might actually end up being your thing. It might actually end up being your vibe. I was like walking in nature yesterday and I was just like, yo, nature is so kind. Like the birds, like listening to the birds and seeing the birds, it's like quite like literally like free therapy. Like I don't know. But anyway, let's see what the vibes is for today. Yeah, let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on for today. I don't. Do we take it? The strength card. Do we take it? I wanted to like fly out, but I'm gonna keep that strength card in mind. I believe the strength card is the eighth card. An eighth's not an eighth, honey. Eighths are numbers that focus are a number of just like self mastery. Strength. Okay. Let me like lock in though, like for reals. You know, it's the magician. Ooh la la. Ooh la 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 la. Why do we have the magician now? What does the magician focus on? The magician is depicted with a person who utilizes all of the elements. In some decks, you can like see the magician with like I said, all the elements of pentacle, sword, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And the magician, that right there shows that the magician understands that whatever it is that they need to create whatever it is that they're wanting to create or manifest, they already have the tools necessary for them. That quite literally what they're looking for and what they need is quite literally already within them as well too. Anyway, let's see which deck. We're gonna use this one because this is what my hand reached for. Yes. So why do we have the magician for the theme of today? Today. It's 5:57 and like I've been getting ready to head out since noon. So make it make sense to me. The days just go by so freaking fast. It's ridiculous, so babe. It's ridiculous fucking low, so. The death card. Ooh la la. Twinsies, that's what I have right here. I love the death card. The devil in reverse. And the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, I like that. This, I can definitely see how this kind of correlates to that strength card, which quite literally is like I said, it 8 focusing, or yeah, just being a number of self mastery. I believe the strength card is number 8. So okay, like bear with me, nonetheless. And in one of my decks as well too, it describes it, well, not even like what it describes the person as, but it's just like a person who is more or less taming a beast. And with the devil card here as well too, maybe you're perhaps in a period of, or kind of concluding a period of, or being advised to, whatever. It doesn't, I don't know. Okay, but nonetheless, it's just giving the energy of mastering something more or less here with the magician. Maybe we have this Knight of Pentacles here in reverse as well too, right? And that kind of just feels like, that right there feels like a very stagnant kind of energy. Yeah, Knight of Pentacles, like out of all the knights, the Knight of Pentacle is like the most slow moving one out of all of them. And perhaps this kind of feels like it's just kind of like a follow-up from like yesterday's reading and whatnot, but it's just like it feels like there's been like a lot of time spent into refining something, or just I don't know, like an example of just like, let's just like say like let's just say someone like breaking or beating something down like with a hammer to kind of break into something, just or just kind of just to like loosen something up, or just to, or it's just it's like it's something like that. I hope this is like making sense. But yeah, something like that because of like the temperance card here, right? And yeah, that's what, okay, I keep saying that's what it feels like, but that's like what it feels like. It feels like there's been like a lot of time, even though like things perhaps might have been feeling like very slow or stagnant. It does feel like throughout that slow moving pace, there's been a lot of time and energy and effort put into like really breaking out of something or breaking through something. It's kind of like a breakthrough kind of like energy, more or less here, shall I say, to really put you like in like this temperance kind of energy, which is like it's a very flowy kind of vibe, if I might say, and whatnot. And you know, how can one be in such like a flowy kind of vibe? And what I mean by it, I guess like what I mean by like being like in a flowy vibe is that like we never really truly realize how much like certain things that we might be holding on to within us, like perhaps like on a mental level or like on like an emotional level with this King of Cups here. Let's wait for this card to pass. Let's give it a moment. Okay, I guess it's done. I think that might be my crush home. As I was saying, we never really realize the things that we are holding on to, how much it more or less is holding us back. Like think of just like a dam, more or less here, right? When we're holding on to stuff, right? Things that have outgrown their season, more or less here, it just blocks the flow of what needs to actually come like into our life, and you know, all that jazz, everything of this nature, right? But and that's what I was saying here like yesterday, and I say this like a lot, I feel like sometimes like a broken record, but you know, it's really sometimes the periods where things seem and feel as though nothing is like actually happening, that's where a lot actually truly is happening, right? Because yet again, as I always say, but not just, it's not like my saying, but it's just, you know, a familiar teaching of just saying that like whatever is happening internally will be reflected externally, right? And you know, if you know you're continuing on with your life, on with your days, right? And you're still holding on to things and you still have things blocking the water from flowing, more or less here, you know, the things that you were still holding on to will be reflected into reality. You know, it could be perhaps like certain mindsets, you know, certain habits, certain cycles that more or less keep us in a cycle, more or less. I feel hold on. But you know what I'm saying here? You know what I'm saying here? And you know, these things as well too can sometimes distort what it is that you might be wanting to create or manifest, right? Okay, let me try to think of just like an example. Let's say you're trying to like um manifest a partner. That's what came to mind. So we're just gonna go with that, whatever. Let's say you're trying to manifest like that kind of like relationship or whatever. But then you're still holding on to past hurts, you know, false ideas that you might have perhaps picked up from like a child, or what it means, you know, things of that nature, right? If you're still holding on to that and not, I'll say yet again with this, alchemizing these things or transmuting it or whatever the hell you want to say, honey, then that's what you'll just kind of keep attracting. You know what I mean? And not like in a fear mongering kind of way, because I don't like it when people like make it seem that, oh, like if you're having like a negative emotion, like, oh my god, like you're suddenly gonna like have like a really bad fucking day. No, bitch, that's not it. But you know, it's like the magician, understanding that you quite literally are the creator of your own reality, more or less. You're God, right? But you know, um, you have to just kind of break through all of the bullshit. You know, you have to just kind of keep hammering the fuck out of shit that doesn't fucking serve you anymore. The things that's keeping you stuck and stagnant. And maybe with that Knight of Pentacles as well too, that's a very stubborn energy, right? As well too. It kind of feels like being like in a comfort zone more or less here. And then with the King of Cups here, right? The King of Cups, kings in general, like, you know, you think of just like it's a very stable kind of energy, and the cups focus like on your emotions and things of that nature, right? But when the King of Cups is there like in reverse, it could just kind of focus on or speak on like a lot of emotional like imbalance, more or less, shall I say here. But nonetheless, it kind of feels like all of that stuff is kind of just being worked through anyway, because you have the Devil in reverse, which is a very liberating kind of energy, liberating vibe, which we love to see. You have the Death card, which is all about transformation, evolving. You know what I mean? So I like it. Page of Swords in reverse. Oh, and a Page of Cups there. And that Temperance in by the Page of Swords. I was gonna be like, I was gonna be like, I'm just gonna have like a one more card and call it a day. The Page of Swords, that's somebody who's very insightful. That's a very insightful kind of energy. That's one who gathers like information. But the Page of Swords being in reverse, that feels like very. What are we saying with this Page of Swords in reverse? Queen of Swords, the Three of Swords, and the Two Swords. OD. Swords. That's a lot of swords, honey pie. This also feels as well too of no longer moving out of allowing things outside of you to control you or how you feel. Because swords focus like on the mind, it correlates with the air element, right? And it can also focus like naturally like on logic and everything of this nature, but it's all more like mental. It's like more or less like a mental kind of vibe here. A very discerning kind of energy as well too. And yeah, I think it's like what has like really helped you, the more you kept hitting with that, the more you kept will do whatever, the more you hit with that hammer, the more you did, girl, the more you hit, right, the clearer things become or have became. You know, like I said, because we're like just breaking through like illusions and things that don't serve you, and just like, you know, just false things that we might have clung on to for comfort, everything that nature, hence that Knight of Pentacles, right? But the more that broke away, the more discerning it can create, it can allow one to become, you know what I mean? And that puts you in a position, in a state of, you know, not being so easily like influenced or swayed or anything of just like of that nature. Oh, my eye. Right? That's like really like what it feels like. Like, I don't really know how else to just say it, but the more you peel away and break down false things or things that, you know, it's like looking, it's like you it's like beginning to see things for what they are rather than what you actually would like them to be. You know what I mean? And you know, that as well puts you in a position where you're not easily, like I said, swayed or manipulated. Hence that King of Cups there in reverse. The King of Cups ideally is someone who's in control of themselves, of their emotions. They don't like, you know, it's really just like having that internal control over yourself. Um, you know, yeah. And you know, when things begin to fall or peel away the things that, you know, we once might have clung on to, yeah, sure, it's very uncomfortable, but it's also very uncomfortable going back to something once you see, like, you simply just cannot like unsee something. And then so when you continuously do so, there really is no other choice but to continuously keep breaking down and just to keep chasing and, the truth more or less here, because the truth shall set you free, motherfucker. And that's like really what's like going on here. Heavy on that shit with that Ace of Swords there, which is literally speaks all about clarity and the truth. So, and that King of Pentacles, which is a very stable energy as well too. So yeah, and I guess like what it is as well too, the more you do so, and like you're really just standing in your truth and in your power, in your strength, right? With this Page of Swords, that just feels like outside energy. Of course, this when you put in the work into yourself and everything in this nature, it don't go unseen to nobody, honey. People see, people know, people can tell, but I don't really give a fuck to talk about people. Like, who cares if people see it, or if you know what I mean? Like, not that it's not a matter of who cares, right? But there are going to be those who will see all the ways in which you evolve and might not like it, and there are those who will be inspired, right? But at the end of the day, the most important person to be doing this is you, me, whoever the fuck, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if Tom, Dick, or Harry don't like it, fuck them, right? You know what I mean? Because the same people who don't like to see the same people who don't like the speed at which you're evolving are the same people who benefited from you being stuck and stagnant anyway. And when you start to prioritize yourself and to step into your own strength and into your own power, it's harder for outer influences to really have an effect on you. So I guess to like really wrap this all up and to sum this all up is you're perhaps beginning to recognize your own strength and how powerful you actually truly are, and or let this as well perhaps serve as a reminder that like you're in so much more control than you realize, right? But to really become aware of this power and the strength that you have to allow yourself to endure all the uncomfortable situations and moments. You have to like allow yourself to feel these things and to mourn with this Death card as well too. You know what I mean? Like, it's when an illusion shatters, you know what I mean? Like, it can be very mournful because, like I said, it could have been something that was like very comfortable, right? It could have been like a nice safe space for you, but you can't grow when you're comfortable. Not to say that you can grow when you're like, you know what I mean? But if we always stayed in our comfort zone, then we really wouldn't grow. We wouldn't, going back to that hammer, you know what I mean? I just can't talk right now. Somebody's calling, but I just cannot talk right now, bitch. Sorry. Page of Wands, right? Don't be afraid to embark on something new, on a new journey. Don't be afraid to, take the uncomfortable route, the uncomfortable path, right? It's all about perspective. It's how you look at things, bitch. If you look at having to endure these things as a woe is me, then that's what it'll be. But if you look at it from the lens of, wow, I've never done this. This is something new. What is this teaching me? Because pages are students. What is this like? When you look at it like that, then it's very fun. Oh, and I just saw the fucking Page of Pentacles. I love that. So you see, there's like a lot of pages. A lot of pages. We're all students and we're here to learn. And if we allow ourselves to learn, then it can be a beautiful and it can be great. It could be a fun thing, mate. But I think that's like what I'll say for now. Right. Because I need to hurry up and bounce and get out of here. But have a beautiful Sunday. And remember, you are the magician. You are the creator of your own reality. And there's nothing, if you can see it, bitch, you can have it. And you could do whatever the fuck you want to do. Right. But please, I kind of just feel like to say this as well too, keeping this in mind, just like in general, please make sure that your moral compass is intact, right? Because there are those who are aware of certain things, who have knowledge on certain things, and they take it and they run with it. That's their life as they should, but, please have your moral compass intact. Um,